Yes, Cersei. Let's get straight into it.
Let's ride.
Had to bring the big glasses out. Shout out More Collections. Had to bring the big glasses out for my boy, Blumberg.
Yes, sir.
I'll call you Blumberg.
Go for it.
What is your first name?
Nathan.
Nathan. I knew that. Okay. Nathan Blumberg.
Yeah.
Where
All my boys in high school called me Bloom or Bloomberg.
Where'd you go to high school?
In Fernandina Beach in Amelia Island, Florida.
Florida. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take the glasses off now. So just for the intro. But we were talking outside, and you said you wanted to slowly get into screenwriting. Is that
that's like a dream, like very, very beginning stages of that dream. So
Okay.
who knows what's going to come of that, but it's just a fun thought I had a couple weeks ago. So we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see how it plays out.
Okay. So we'll start out the first question with something that I brought up earlier. Have you ever been to a cookout, and would you like to go to one?
So I've never been to a proper cookout. And yeah, I would love to go to a cookout, of course.
Do you know what kind of cookout I'm talking about?
I have a good feeling I know what kind of cookout you're talking about.
Okay, so
I would love to be there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
If I brought you to a cookout,
Okay.
what would you bring? A lot is on the line right now.
There's a cop out answer. Chicken, of course, and some kind of hot sauce. That's what I'm rocking with. So
you're in.
That's what I'm rocking with. It's got to have some heat to it. You know.
You're in.
So
easy. You're in.
That's what I'm thinking.
Better answer than Sabrina. Yeah. But no, for real though, thank you for even doing this.
Yeah,
I know it took a little minute, obviously. Just
we've been talking about it for a while.
Yeah, in Tampa we got a whole bunch of stuff over here in Tampa. The hurricanes hit us hard, low key. And is the house good? Like
house is good. We got a couple inches of water in the garage, so nothing crazy. And then we lost parts of our fence, but I'll take that any day over damage to the house. So we're all good.
Cool. Bad. So you're from Florida already. So you're already like a Florida native.
Yeah.
How did you slowly, or how did you in general, to get into like video and all the stuff that you're doing now?
Yeah, I mean, I was born and raised partially in Jacksonville, Florida, and then I traveled a lot as a kid, moved around to outskirts of Atlanta, this small town in Arkansas called Texarkana, and then moved back to Amelia Island to finish out high school. So I moved around a lot as a kid. But yeah, I mean, videography for me started with video editing on Vine.
No way.
I would
OG.
rip sports clips off of YouTube and like edit them and like do crazy edits and colors and beat drops and just like put them on Vine. And like, I loved it. It was so sick to me. And so that's where like my first memory of like some sort of video was. So I don't even remember when that was, like 2014 or something.
Back.
Yeah. And so anyways, it was always just kind of a hobby. I fell in love with like Jay Alvarez and Sam Colder, the travel content, just like the island hopping and all that stuff. And then Amelia Island, I was, around the beach and these palm trees. And so like, I felt like I could do it. I was like, oh, like I'm just going to start traveling the world and like making videos and stuff. Ultimately, as we see today, that didn't happen. So,
I mean, you still travel?
Still traveling, but not in the sense of like a travel videographer.
Got you.
But always been really interested in that sort of content. And then I guess when I first picked up a camera was maybe 2015 or 2016. One of my really good friends, still close with him to this day, Joey, he's a photographer, killer film photographer and digital photographer in New York. And he's shot for a lot of music artists and whatnot. But he was more so the photographer of the friend group. And like, so I was like, okay, well, like I'm going to try the video just because like I didn't want to, take his things or whatever. So I was like, I'm going to try to do my own thing. And he really inspired me to pick up my mom's camera. It was like a Nikon D600. I don't even remember what model it was, but it was very old, but it had a record button. And so in our friend group, we would just film the summers and make recap videos and go from there. And that's pretty much how I picked up a camera. And then slowly I started filming, my high school sports when I was there. A lot of people saw my like travel summer recap videos, and they were like, yeah, you got to come out and shoot the football team, basketball team, whatever. And so that's pretty much where it all kind of started. So
That's
definitely in high school.
That's big tough shooting. That video on Nikon though.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was on auto. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know any settings at all. It was just I was pressing the record button and pressing stop. So like the frame rate was off. I would try to slow it down and it would be jittery. Like there was nothing correct about it. And then so the Nikon was an adventure for sure.
Yeah.
So
Not coming for Nikon users. I have a funny obsession with Sony, I guess. I when I was a kid, I used to always go into Best Buy and like stare at the TVs, and I would always notice like which brands had better color or just better look and feel. And like to me, Sony was just superior, especially being big on superhero movies, Marvel. Marvel's obviously connected to Sony, and just like Sony was always that name that I got used to. So I was like, when I get my own camera, Sony, 100%.
Yeah.
Are you a Sony superior?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, luckily, I haven't switched camera brands or anything. I will say the first camera I shot on was my mom's Nikon, whatever it was back then. And then my first ever camera, my mom and my dad, they were split. And so they both pitched in separate Christmases. And like my mom got me the bag and the camera lens, I think. And then my dad got me the camera body, and it was a Panasonic GH3. So it was old. Super old.
Still.
But it was a hybrid, you could do video, you could do photo. And I was super thankful. Like that's more than what I could have asked for at the time. And so I tried my hand at it a little more. But then when I got into the sports side of things, maybe like 2 or 3 years later, after I got that Panasonic, I switched to the A7 III, the Sony A7 III, and that was my first like quote unquote professional camera. That's what I made money with.
Yeah.
And then once I stuck with Sony, I realized how good it was, photo and video. And so I just invested my money into the, lenses and the glass and whatnot. And so now I'm still with Sony. So yeah, I'm probably never going to switch because then we would have to sell all of our Sony stuff and transition to Canon or wherever. And I don't see that happening. So
Sony, if you hear this, send us some stuff, please. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
It sounds like you've been into sports for a while, doing sports, and it's on Vine. I didn't even think of that. I remember watching like King Batch and War, like most of those big creatives at the time were like really like took over the app. But you've technically been doing one-offs since Vine.
Yeah.
How did you get into how did you even know you could do something like that? Take other people's footage, edit it, and then now basically it's like your own edit. Yeah.
I mean, it was funny because like I've always been entertained by like the movie space and the TV space and just that world. Like I just love that world. The sports world for sure. I'm a sports fanatic. But I would see like these crazy who would have been at that time like David Ortiz edits or like Manny Machado, just like these great athletes, and they would have like almost this motivational music behind it and like this color to it, and I was like, that looks so sick, like why can't I like try to do that? And so I would try to do it for my favorite players, and so I'm blanking on who my favorite players were at that time in 2014 2015. Like, no, definitely not him. I was going to say Derek Jeter. He was long gone. But anyways, just like my favorite players, I was trying to replicate those edits and try to do. Just because like when I saw those edits pop up on my Vine feed, like those made me feel some type of way. And I was like, if they make me feel some type of way just watching it, like imagine what would happen if I could make it myself. And so that's when I just like, whether it was like screen recording or ripping the YouTube video. I don't even remember how I got the videos, to be honest. But somehow I would get them on my mom's iPad or my iPod or whatever I had at the time, and just edit them and just go from there. So, but yeah, sports has always been a love for me, and I'm super thankful to still be in the sports world. I feel like a kid, just like getting to be on football fields all the time and just kind of live that life. So without actually being a professional athlete. So it's cool.
Same. Like I played soccer for a really, really long time to where even in like now, before I kind of like fully got immersed in sports with all the stuff that I do, I was looking for jobs, and I'm looking at all different jobs. Like, okay, they want you to work specifically at a spot from 9 to 5, or just like you can't leave for a certain time. And I'm like, how am I about to do my freelance work, or how am I about to be open for a game? Like, I don't see how that's gonna work. So like slowly depression starts to creep in, because it's like, dang, you got to say goodbye to this thing and this feeling, being around teams and feeling like an athlete and a kid. Like you're kind of living your childhood dreams, doing the stuff that we're doing. So like I'm like, I don't know if I want to leave yet. So let me actually like just put everything into it, especially from wanting to be a director. You know, I'm gonna keep blanking on the question. Give me a second.
No, you're good.
It's literally in my head.
I wanted to bring up like that transition from like, well, luckily we didn't have to transition from like sports world to corporate world, thankfully. But I remember when I dropped out of college.
You played tennis?
Yeah, I played tennis for 1 year in college, dropped out. And I was in this like weird period of, I didn't know I wanted to do videography as a full-time business, all these things. And so I was working as a pool boy at the Ritz-Carlton. I was working at a doggy daycare, and then I was working at a bagel shop all at the same time.
I love bagels.
Me too. So it worked out great. So I was working those 3 jobs at the same time, and then I did that for maybe 3 or 4 months, and my mom pulled me aside, and she actually had like a legit intervention like with me. And so I walk into my house, and my mom's sitting there with one of her friends, and they like sat me down, and they were like, hey, like, what are you doing? I was like, because I was dropped out of college. I had these 3 random jobs, not really like a real career path job. And I was like, I don't know. You know, I've only been out of school for 3 months. Like,
you're trying.
I'm working my tail off. I'm trying to figure it out. And they both knew I loved videography and whatnot. And my mom's friend was like, we think that you should go into the military, and we think that you should do photography in the military. And I was like, okay, I'll hear you out. And then, you know, I was not hearing him out in my head. I was just kind of caught off guard. And then she was like, or you could also be, because I was super big into my faith. I still am super big into my faith. But at that time, I was really getting big into my faith. And she was like, or you could be a preacher in the military. I forgot the technical term for it, but there's like,
I know what you mean.
Yeah, like a pastor, preacher in the military that goes overseas and whatnot. And I was just like, no, like there's no way I'm doing either one of those. Like I'm not gonna have like I don't want to. That's when I realized I didn't want a formal boss. I didn't want, even though it was like photography and preaching, like I still wanted to do my thing. And so I left those 3 jobs. And then my mom, she was cool enough. She let me stay at her house until I would have turned like 21 or 22. She was basically like, you can stay at my house from the time you were supposed to be in college. And then once, you know, you're 21 or 22 and you were going to graduate college, then you have to do something. Luckily, it only took me until I was 20. And then I moved down to St. Pete and started, you know, really trying to take off. But
I remember
just
that.
like that transition was scary, because I realized like I'm about to like really step into the real world and like lose any sort of child connection. Like, and so that connection that you're talking about definitely like scared me. Yeah. So
because like it was that fear of almost like losing it pretty much.
Yeah, for sure.
Everything's like it could feel like a job sometimes.
Yeah.
But I know when I was younger, back on like the Vine stuff, I didn't edit on Vine. You were way ahead of me there. But in high school, I was probably 15, 16. I had an iPad because like all the students would get iPads. But I had iMovie on my iPad. So I listened to a lot of motivational videos, honestly, just to kind of get me like amped before leaving the house, you know? And so I always loved them. But I would listen to it, understand what they're saying, and then I'll be like, okay, but the Bible kind of says this. Like, how do I morph them together. So it's like, let me start making my own edits.
Yeah.
Figured out it was a lot harder than what it looks. I was like, okay,
For sure.
I actually can't record any of this footage. I don't have a camera. I need to find that footage and all that stuff. But looking forward, making like the edits for the volleyball team at UT, when I put, you know, certain clips together with like a voice or just a narrator to everyone else, it's like, oh my gosh, like it looks so cool. But I'm like, I've literally been daydreaming about this since a kid, you know, and just like for you, when did that moment like strike when you kind of realize sometimes motivation might not actually be in the play when you need discipline or just like when you're doing your job?
Yeah. I mean, gosh, I would say my second or third, probably my third season in the MLB. Also transitioning. I did 3 seasons with the MLB. My third season, I experienced big burnout. Like I worked 110, 120 games.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah. And so I filmed 110, 120 games, somewhere around there. But when I was in the middle of that burnout, I decided, I had a conversation with a close friend of mine, and I decided that I was going to quit MLB and jump freelance. I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know Creative Juice Agency was. I didn't know anything. I just knew I was going to be on my own. And so I decided that in like September, October, and obviously playoff baseball's in October. And so I decided that in like September. I didn't tell anybody except for my wife and the friend I had the conversation with. And then the last game comes for the Tampa Bay Rays, which was against the World Series champions, the Rangers. So that was my last game. And then I told Pete Gottschalk, I don't know if you know him. So he's a very, very big MLB videographer. He crushes it.
Maybe
but anyways, say again?
My face.
Yeah. And anyways, I told him after the game that like, hey, I appreciate everything you've done, but like I'm out. You know, he was kind of like above me in the sense of the ladder. And so I told him, told my bosses a couple days later, and I thought that was gonna give me like some motivation and like some sort of like push into the freelance world. Just because I was like, in my head, I was like, good, like I'm done with this burnout. Like, you know, I've done my time with the Rays, because as an LCC, there's no growth. There's no pay raises. There's no job above LCC. In the MLB there is, but it's a confusing thing. And so in my head, I was like, there's no growth. I'm just going to be in LCC for as long as they'll let me be in LCC. So like, I'm going to go push somewhere else. So I thought I was going to have that motivation to jump into freelance. And then, you know, I leave the MLB in October. I have November, which is my first month of full-time freelance, and I make like 4K, 5K. And I was like, okay.
Amazing.
I was like, this is a good start, a great start. For somebody for myself, who never even made like above like 3K a month or something. And I get to December and January, nothing. And I was like, okay. I said, where's the motivation now? I was like, this isn't what I thought was going to happen. This isn't what I thought it was going to be. And so, you know, I didn't have a lot of income coming in from that November to probably like April. And I was just sitting there. I was like, there's no motivation here. So I'm going to have to like stop trying to use motivation when I don't have it. So there's nothing for me to use. There's no motivation for me to use because there's nothing happening right now. So I'm like, I just have to dig and eat dirt right now and, you know, work until something clicks. And so then luckily I just realized what kind of space I was in. I was still creating content for professional athletes, and I was creating relationships and networking with all these people. And then in April, it just flipped a switch. And that wasn't from motivation. Like the motivation didn't carry me. It was just like the disciplinary part of it. And then also just like staying close to faith, like just knowing that like this filming isn't my identity. These athletes who I work with isn't my identity. And as long as I have a roof over my head with my wife, that's all I care about. And so luckily, you know, it took me about 4 months of realization that motivation is not going to carry me there. So that's kind of when it all kind of flipped the switch for sure.
Yeah, as a kid, like, cause shoot, as a youngin', pretty much at high school, you know, you go get amped up with testosterone and whatnot. You're just hype. You could be an athlete. You're good shape, whatever. So like every day, you just wake up with motivation to do better. But then hearing that for the first time of like, okay, when motivation, like Eric Thomas, when motivation is not in the play, what are you gonna do? And I'm like, from that perspective, I'm gonna be always motivated. Like, man, it's never leaving. Then it hits the window, just like that. We're like, oh shoot, like okay, you don't feel like doing anything today. Yeah, what's gonna keep you over that hedge, you know? And I kind of had that same moment with my parents a couple months back, ironically enough. And I remember sitting at the counter, hearing them suggest certain jobs that I should take that don't even remotely align with anything creative. And I'm just like, it doesn't even sound real coming from both my parents. So I'm like, I kind of understood that, again, with faith. Like, I know that God has definitely given me certain gifts and he's planted these things in me to kind of figure out on my own too, how to like serve him as well. Yeah. And so just from that perspective of just like, okay, I now got to figure out what to do on a daily basis. Routine was the biggest thing, obviously, from the athletic standpoint. That's what helps any athlete to get better at whatever sport they're playing. But knowing how important routine and repetition is from a creative aspect. 100%. How did you find, or how difficult, honestly, was it to just find a routine with no motivation in the mix sometimes?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, I'm not going to sit here and say that I did find a routine. Like, yeah, like, what I'm saying is, like, I definitely, yes, it was a roller coaster. Like, I had the days where there was no motivation, but I did get it done. I went to the gym. That was a huge thing for me. I'm still trying to get back in the gym, you know, 5 days a week, way more consistent, just because from an athlete standpoint, I realized how much mental clarity that brings me is just when you work out and get outside. And that's really helpful when us creatives are inside filming and editing all day. So yeah, I mean, that was just a huge part. But also, like, you know, I also wasn't hard on myself when I didn't have the routine. Like, it's okay to, like, not have it figured out, not have the routine dialed, not have 5 a.m. wake up, cold plunge, crazy routine. It's okay as long as you're moving one step forward, like a day, like stacking days. I forgot who said that. But and that's in that, you know, November to February period. That's what I was trying to do, was just stack days, like make sure I'm networking calls, talking to who I can. That was one, I will say that was probably one of my routine things, that if I did have a routine at all, that was probably it. It was probably networking. I was reaching out every day, and then the people who did respond, I tried to just cultivate that relationship. I wasn't trying to close them on a deal. I wasn't just money hungry. Like, I knew that it's a long game. And so I would just, you know, every week or so I'd reach back out to that same person, just catch up with them. And then ultimately in May, a lot of those relationships came at the same time wanting work. And I was like, this is perfect. And so I would say, like, yeah, I didn't have a routine, you know, that, like, got me out of the rut per se, but just, like, knowing that if I didn't do anything, I was ultimately not staying in the same place. I was moving backwards. So if you can just do something every day that's somewhat productive, then you're going to move in the right direction. Doesn't matter, like, how long it takes you or how much of that you do per day. As long as you're doing something productive every day, you're going to move in the right direction. So that's kind of what helped me go through that. But it was tough.
That's awesome. Dang, I'm soaking in everything that you're saying. Everything.
Like, I'm trying to soak in what I'm saying too, because I, you know, like right now I'm in a good motivated period, like we just talked about earlier, and so I need to remember this, like when that next rut comes, because it's inevitable, it's gonna come.
Oh my gosh!
So I just need to, you know.
You just mentioned, like, you just unlocked something in my brain, like, just because of, like, I've literally that, like, even now the certain, I guess, periods of months just being in Tampa, since I'm somewhat fairly new to the area. I moved to Tampa officially kind of 2022, I think, after I graduated. And so at first I didn't have a car.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a car, so I was walking to work. I was walking like 45 minutes on the dot if I kept the same pace.
Mm-hmm.
So I already knew how to wake up certain time.
Yep.
You know, walk. Doesn't matter, rain, snow. I don't really care.
Yeah.
I just like that walk for me. Going back on the mental side, it just helped with mental clarity, bro.
Yeah.
Like I did that walk to put on my headphones. I'm literally just happy for no reason because I don't know, I feel good on the walk. Get there and I'm ready to go. And so it was, I guess, interesting for my coworkers around me that maybe didn't feel the same way, or maybe they're groggy, just not awake yet. But I'm on it. What we got to do? I'll go into the basketball, I guess, arena, just the courts. I would scream. I'm already hype. I'm still kind of in like athlete mode in a sense. I'm like, let's go. Like, come on, we got to get better today. Because I know for me as a creative, that's the only thing I had at the time.
Yeah.
I was like, I would just walk in the gym in the mindset of, I need to make a video today that could change my life, that could help everybody else around me, that could inspire everyone. And if I can keep doing that, you would, like, seriously, months go on, you would watch the motivation just like erupt in the building. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. But as a whole, as a creative itself, at first, I know I didn't get paid as much as a creative could have, you know, that was doing the work that I was doing. When, like, starting out and I guess getting the certain payments that you were, what, like, kept you going in general, just to, like, continue to, like, help you push through, knowing that you be somewhere else at a, you know, different day?
I was a huge Gary V, or I still am a huge Gary V guy. If I hadn't listened to one of his podcasts, I can't remember the actual episode, then I don't know, like, if I would have the same work ethic I do today, and I don't know if I'd be here, to be completely honest. And so Gary V and Alex Hormozy, those two guys, definitely gave me like a really good mindset. And so my first job in the sports creative world was for a quarterback trainer named Denny Thompson, who owned a company called 6 Points and is a quarterback training development program. Carson Beck, a bunch of SEC quarterbacks went through there. He trains pro guys now, Caleb Williams, a couple other guys. And so basically I got that job and I was doing everything: photos, videos, graphic design, social management, the whole nine. And I think I was getting paid $300 a week. Maybe. Yeah, maybe $300 a week. And I mean, what is that? Like $15,000 a year or something? It's something wild. And one of those jobs, photography for a full year, is not $15,000. And so I was doing 4 jobs for $300 a week. But I was brand new to the whole scene. I was getting to be around, I'm a huge Georgia fan. So like just getting to be around Carson, like getting to be around Anthony Richardson, Gardner Minshew, these SEC guys, these pro guys. Like I was getting to film these guys when no one else had the access. And Denny, my boss at the time, ultimately chose me to like help him run this thing. And so while I was kind of eating crap, like making $300 a week, spending half that on gas, I had to drive an hour there and back every day.
Jeez.
And so just the gas alone per week is like, you know, $100 plus dollars, because I had a old truck, and so doing that commute every day was fun. But anyways, my mindset was I was very blessed to have the mindset that I had, because I knew that there was more down the road. I just had to pay my dues and eat crap for the time being until I ultimately had something to show for, and then I can go pitch to people how much I'm worth or whatever, you know. But ultimately, like at that time when I was eating crap and making that money, like I wasn't in a position where I could say like, hey, pay me more. It's like, what right do I have, like,
to say that?
Yes, on a statistical basis, like for if I wanted to rent a house or rent an apartment and go eat out and whatever, then yeah, I should be making this amount. But like I hadn't proven my worth. Like I hadn't, you know, I'd been there for, you know, a month, 3 months. And then finally when it got to a year, we were working together for a year. I told my boss, I was like, hey, I'm trying to move out of my mom's house. I'm trying to like take my girlfriend out to dinner.
Yeah, you got.
So like we gotta figure out a structural. I actually grew his page, which at the time I thought was insane. I grew his Instagram page by 10,000 followers.
That is insane. What do you mean?
I know, but like,
it's absolutely insane.
No, I know, but like when you think about people growing social medias now, it's like when the tens of thousands or whatever.
That's insane. You still great business,
but that was with me knowing nothing. I didn't know anything, and I just did this. And so then I took all the receipts. I was like, hey, I'm working 60 hours a week. I'm editing, video editing, social managing, and I'm getting paid. Last year, when the taxes got taken out, I brought home like $12,000, and I was like, these don't add up. And so I just told my boss, I was like, hey, like I love you, I love working for you, everything about this company I love. Like I just need to feel like I'm getting at least a little bit more compensated than what I'm getting compensated now. So anyways, we agreed. He was like, okay, I'll double it, whatever. And so I was cool with it. And then what was it? It might have been 2 or 3 weeks later, I took the job with MLB, and it was like I didn't even know I had that in me. I didn't, because I was stuck in my own bubble.
What were the emotions that you were like going through it, like when it hit?
The MLB?
Yeah,
it was like almost like what's it called? Imposter syndrome. Like I didn't know if I was supposed to be there.
Got it.
And especially like with the pay and all that stuff, I was like, I was just working out of a like a hangar, whatever you call them, whatever, big facility. I was working out of a big facility.
Warehouse?
Warehouse, there we go. I was working out of a warehouse with the quarterback training people, making $300 a week. And now I just got, accepted to go shoot for the MLB. It's like, that doesn't make sense to me. And so it was definitely imposter syndrome. But I also realized, like, although everybody's timeline's different, and although it only took me a year to eat the crap, pay my dues, like I ultimately got to where I wanted to be, which was the MLB. That was my dream from the get-go. And I just felt like a sense of accomplishment, because I knew that was in all reality, I thought that was the end of it. I thought that was like I thought that was my ceiling, was the MLB. Wow. And I was like, that's my dream. I made it. Cool. And then I didn't have any dreams of after the MLB. I had no dreams. And so I was just like in a sense of complacency and like being content with getting to the MLB, and then, excited for that new journey. But ultimately, like, what's up?
And the burnout smack.
And then the burnout smack, exactly. So it was an interesting ride of emotions and the mindset and everything. But yeah, I mean, Gary Vee definitely got me through with that mindset of just pay your dues. Like you're not given anything. Like you got to earn it. So that's what helped me when I was making $300 a week doing 4 jobs.
Man, so I'm reminiscing a little bit, because I'm not coming for anybody. I'm just honestly speaking my truth. So at UT, when I first started, but it's just a work study. And so Christian Wins was the video coordinator at that time, pretty much, the video director. And so he was doing freelance. And so obviously you make a lot more money outside of the building from a D2 creative media program. So he would always do that. So we'd always delegate and need other people that were students at the time to do like the work. So I was one of the students that came in pretty, I guess, late in a sense. There was not many people working at the department at the time. And so when I started working there, more people started to join. And I have so many great friends from that program. And the thing was, when it was just me for a little while, I was doing it all. I was doing the graphics, video, photos, like all that stuff, to where it definitely helped. So I could teach and help all the other people that were like coming in, And so being a part of a team was probably like the best thing in general. Like it already felt more priceless than money.
Yeah.
But then eventually you get to the point where you're like, okay, I can't eat. Like, you get home and it's like, what do I want to do for the weekend? Can't do much. You got to save for rent, and it's not enough, kind of deal, where it's like, then you think back, it's like, all right, I did just make like 3 videos today and 2 graphics, and I got to do that tomorrow. but someone else doing freelance, they're making bank doing the same exact thing. I just technically made what, $14.50 an hour, and my cap is 29. Like so then you really start looking at it, like, okay, I should ask for more. Can I do it? And then it was just the same thing of like, oh, we'll see if we can get you a raise. We'll see if we can get you a raise.
Yeah.
Then it's like, okay, yeah, I've been to Publix before. Like, I know that it's not coming or something like that. But doing that, I hit, I guess, an opening in the same sense that you were saying, like you thought it was like the ceiling. I always kind of just thought like, okay, UT's gonna be like my home base, and then I could go freelance everywhere else and just come back and bring back what I learned to keep elevating the program, which was happening.
Yeah.
But I basically left in May of this
past year, yeah.
But I checked out November.
Yeah.
Completely checked out.
Yeah.
And the reason why I checked out was because I went on a trip with the volleyball team to Europe, bro. We went to freaking Italy, Croatia. Honestly, the best trip of my entire life. Cow. Best trip of my entire life. I recommend every team to go out there. But the whole time that I'm there, I'm thinking like, these are some insane memories that we're all like sharing with each other. Like, we're sharing memories, bro. We're spending time with each other. We're getting to know each other. I get to record it all. And so the way that I was recording it, more so short form content, also kind of like a small documentary form. But what had hit me from that whole trip, dude, I was like, I'm literally living in all the like prayers that I've prayed. And like it slowly started to check in to where I was like, okay, I'm sitting in the spot that I always wanted to be. I can see that I now am almost like this vessel of being in the middle of what's the story, what's going on, how do I translate that visually? I'm in that spot. So I was like, all I have to do is what I'm doing right now. I choose to like travel crazily. I go to Duke for a day and come back hours later just to grab information, go to Georgia Tech, go to, all these different schools. And that's how the program was elevating. I'm bringing back different information from other departments. Not everyone around me could see it. So it was like kind of frustrating of like, it was like I'm trying to get other people on the same page. Yeah. That couldn't understand the page that I was on. Yeah. So that ceiling started to melt. Yeah. And I was like, there needs to be more than this almost. I was like, dang. It's kind of more of just like, okay, I may have to leave kind of deal, or like I got to see who else can understand the same page that I'm on. There has to be a bigger page out there. I was doing the documentary for Athlete Innovations at the time, and what hit me was like, dude, this is my actual canvas. I know for film, I know we were talking about that earlier, since I want to be a director. It was right in front of my face that I'm basically doing kind of like everything that I pray for. Like I said again. But when did that moment hit you?
In what way?
Like, I know as a kid, big sports fan. Yeah. And then obviously the conversation with your parents, you're like, nah, I don't want to do that. Yeah. Go out to St. Pete, baseball. Did you, or maybe you haven't had it, but I'm just more so asking of just like, have you had a moment where you realize like, dang, like I was actually praying to be in this position years ago?
Oh, man. Gosh, I feel like I might have had a couple of those moments. I think coming out of burnout, when I was transitioning from MLB to freelance, gosh, I was in Vegas with Antoine Winfield. He was nominated for Walter Payton Award, and so all those nominees go out to Vegas for the Super Bowl and do their thing. And so I went out there with him, and I was sitting in the hotel in Vegas, and that was one of the low months. Like I might have brought in like 2 or 3K. It's very low. And my wife and I were just kind of combing through the finances and whatnot. And then I was sitting in my hotel room by myself in Vegas looking out, and I was about to go hop in the car and go meet with Antoine. Yeah. And I just thought to myself, I was like, why am I griping when I'm in Vegas, freelance, full freelance? I have no boss right now. This is all me and Antoine. Why am I like fussing about like what spot I'm in when I ultimately wanted to get away from the MLB? Like, obviously, like I said earlier, I didn't know that there was a ceiling past the MLB. But then as I got to film with the MLB for a couple of years, I had more dreams and aspirations. So then when I was leaving the MLB, going towards those dreams and aspirations, I was like complaining. I was in an awful mental space. And then in Vegas, I just sat back and was like, I'm filming with a pro NFL player in Vegas on, you know, our dime. Like, it's anything. It's what I dreamt of doing. I wanted to work with athletes personally and be there and film whatever. And now I'm doing that, but I'm griping about it. And so it's like, yo, you got to snap out of this. This is wild. And then I feel like another moment is, I don't talk about it a lot, but my dad passed away when I was 18. And he's the one who got me into sports, like everything. And it was my first season with the MLB, and my favorite team and his favorite team was the Yankees. And one of my first games was the Yankees came to play the Blue Jays, because the Blue Jays in 2021, they were using a facility in Dunedin because for COVID.
It's called Dunedin? I
Yeah.
Dundon. Oh, come on back.
No, Dunedin.
Okay, cool.
So they were using a facility in Dunedin for like half the season because of COVID, and they couldn't play in Canada. And so I was filming them. That was my first series with the MLB. And Yankees come to town, and I was kneeling on the ground taking pregame shots of some of the Yankees taking BP. I hadn't seen Aaron Judge yet. I hadn't seen Giancarlo Stanton yet. And then all of a sudden, I stand up, and somebody just comes and slaps me on the butt. I was like, "What the world?" Like a baseball, like they do that. And it was Aaron. Yeah, exactly. Key and Peele, and it was Aaron Judge. He had come up behind me, tapped me on the butt, and was like, "Hey, have a good day, man." And I was like, "Bro, what?" I was like, "You gotta be kidding me!" I like looked up 10 feet in the air because he's freaking massive, and that was like one of my favorite moments, just because like it's my favorite player, and he didn't have to like not the slap in the butt thing. Obviously, that's a baseball thing, but like he didn't have to go out of his way to acknowledge me. I'm just a photographer, and when I got back to the photo well, and I was just next to Aaron Judge and all these other guys filming my favorite athletes. I had filmed Mike Trout 3 days prior. Just like, if I could have just told my dad like what I was doing in life, like that's all I wanted. Like, and so that was like a moment for me where it's like, I'm here. Like, this is the start of this journey. I don't know where I'm going to end up, but like, just knowing that my dad would have been the most ecstatic person in the world, like if I could have told him like where I ended up. And so that was probably the bigger moment out of the two, from the freelance jump, and then that moment. I would definitely say the game against the Yankees was when I was like, yo, I was like, we're on to something. Like, this could be something.
I low-key got like a real question for you, like a heartfelt.
Yeah.
So, truthfully speaking, not to paint my dad as a villain. So my dad has done like a good amount of things to me that I've obviously forgiven him for, but when I was younger, I struggled with like anger, frustration, freaking mental warfare, all that stuff from the stuff that like my dad's done to me. But forgiving him for it, and still to this day continuing to work through, biblically speaking, how to continue to like honor my mother and father, to still be as respectful as possible. And my dad's from Barbados, Caribbean parent, and their way of logic and parenting is very different from American parents. And so I completely understand how and why he parents. So I just kind of take a lot of stuff he says now with a grain of salt. He doesn't really understand the creative space and all of that, you know, to where he doesn't see what I'm doing at all as like a job whatsoever. What advice do you have for me in general, especially from being a believer, just to continue to like push through and just still try to be happy to show my dad stuff that I'm doing in general, since like I still have him here, you know?
I would say prayer is probably like the ultimate thing that you could do. Just because like prayer works. I mean,
yeah, 100%.
Whether it's a yes or no, you're gonna get an answer, and whether it's now or later, you're gonna get an answer. It might not be the answer that you want, but whatever questions and whatever prayers you're bringing to God, like it all works out for whatever plan He has in the path for us. And so I definitely think the power of prayer is huge, especially when it comes to loved ones. Like honestly, sometimes I pray a lot for my friends and job opportunities and all this stuff, but sometimes I forget to pray for the people closest to me, just because like, oh, they're good, like I know how they're doing, like all this stuff, you know. And so sometimes I neglect like praying for my wife. Obviously I pray for my wife and my family, but not as much as I should for how much they're in my life.
Got you.
And so I feel like just praying more for your dad, your parents, but then also from a sense of like, this is your way of happiness, like this career path and like these film aspirations that you want to do, this directing you want to do, like this is your world. This is not your parents' world. This is not your dad's world. Like I just try to have almost like a sense of peace, like knowing that your dad doesn't understand it. It's okay if he doesn't understand it, because he doesn't have to understand it. If he comes to understand it, that's great. Like that would be amazing for you two to connect on that. But ultimately, like I would just try to have a sense of peace in being like, okay, this is the gifts that God has given me, and I'm gonna understand them and use them to my fullest. But it's okay if people around me don't understand them, because God has given me that. And so you can do your best to explain to the people around you what these gifts are and how you feel about what you do for a living. But ultimately, like your dad's emotions, and by the way, this isn't like,
oh
yeah, this is like what I would do. This is pretty much what I did with my mom, because I had some interesting comments from my mom, and I'll tell you about it later. But that's ultimately what I would do if I was trying to, like, if my parents felt some type of way about my career path, that's probably how I would go about it, is the prayer, and then obviously like prayers for them, but then also praying that you find the peace that this is your thing. Like, who cares? Like, obviously, in a sense, like you know, you'd love your dad to be more involved and appreciate what you do a little more, but that might not happen. And so I would hate to be chasing that feeling for the rest of my life, wanting my mom or dad's approval, and it never come. And then, you know, one day they're gonna pass, and then I never got that feeling of their approval, and then it's like, well, now you're never gonna get it because they're gone. And so I just feel like if we try to find that peace in ourselves of what you do is worth something, then it'll make that like conflict a little easier. It's not gonna fix it, but it's a little easier to deal with when you have peace and like, hey, what I do is sick. Like it's okay if my dad doesn't understand it. Like, you know, different culture, different time period. Like, so I would definitely say prayer for both ways. Prayers for you and peace, and then prayers for your dad. So
thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. And I'm not a
no, you're so good.
You know, I'm not a therapist or anything.
100%.
I don't, you know, that's just kind of what I would think. And then going off of that, like, I remember when I was dating another girl in high school, and I was trying to pursue videography. I don't think my mom remembers that she said this, but I'll remember it till the day I die.
Gotcha.
And so I don't know, she might watch this, so she probably doesn't know what's coming. But she said she wanted me to work for my ex-girlfriend's parents. They were like very entrepreneurial. They had their own businesses, blah blah blah. And I was like, in high school, I had dreamt of being a videographer in some sort of way. I didn't know it was going to be sports videography. And I was like, no, like I really want to do this like video stuff, like whether it's weddings or whatever, corporate, whatever. And my mom was like, no, like you can't make a living like doing that. And then she said that, and then she said she tried to persuade me in that moment. It was a super quick comment. It wasn't like a direct conversation. She was just kind of making passive comments. So that's why I don't know if she remembers this at all. So she said, I couldn't make a living doing that. And then she persuaded to try to tell me to get into real estate because my mom's in real estate. And she was like, no, like as a man of the house, like you need to like bring in more money. And so you should try to go into real estate. Kind of like hinting at like, you're not going to make anything in videography. You're not going to be the man of the house doing videography, that kind of vibe. Obviously I don't hold a grudge against that to my mom or anything. And I don't know if we've ever even talked about it. So this will probably bring up conversation at Thanksgiving. But that was kind of something that was implemented into my mindset, was the way that my mom thought about it was like, holy cow, like maybe this isn't worth anything. Maybe I shouldn't do this. And I started to have a lot of doubts. And then as I got further along, I was like, I'm cool. Like, I know what I can bring to the table. I know what can come from this. I know the opportunities that are in front of me. And like, if my mom doesn't understand that, that's okay. Like, as long as I put a roof over my wife and I's head, I'm cool. I don't care. And so that was one of those moments for me where it's like, it was on obviously a little less scale than your situation, but that was a moment when my mom was passively said something that really stuck with me and about my career choice. And I was like, you know, at the time I was really affected by it, but now I've kind of learned to have peace with my world. It's not my mom's world. It's like my world and the gifts that God's given me. So
I'm glad you said all of that, because what I've been doing subliminally, I don't even know if that's like the right context or word for what I'm about to say.
We're going to rock with it.
We're going to go with it. So I've always had this, just like since high school, I would notice with like certain friends, I'll bring like a funny example up. Let's just say you might have a friend that's a girl, and you know there's a guy that may be trying to manipulate her. And you can see from a guy's perspective, like you got to tell your friend that's the girl, he's probably not good for you. You may notice that she may not listen to you, and she may listen to everybody else but you.
Yeah.
So I've had this like situation happen just like multiple times over the course of my life, to where what I would try to do is try to get other people to kind of just like say the same thing that I would say for me. So that's probably, there's a chance that people could probably hear it. So I'm glad that you said those things, only because since there was a lot that happened with like UT last year, November, I remember it all. My parents don't think that I remember it all. And from that situation, I have found, like, you know the song, like, I still have joy in chaos.
Oh, yeah. By Elevation, I think. Yeah.
So there was, I still have the video recording of me in my room holding up a book that has the word, big letters, peace, from Billy Graham. Billy Graham, favorite pastor of all time. And I know in that moment, like what was hitting me was just like I can, like everything that you literally just said, in the sense of like, I've kind of been choosing to hold on to chase that feeling of like, there's still a chance to kind of get my dad to understand like the things that he's done, and that how he's impacted me, how he's hurt me, and like all that stuff. There's this documentary out at the time called After Death, by Angel Studios. Okay. And so it was literally the moment that I knew that I need to stop worrying about outside distractions, perceptions, and how people maybe see things that I make, and if they're not entertained, that was that moment. It was like, I need to make stories for the people that actually appreciate the art and not are impacted by how they feel based off of what they're looking at. Yeah. And so how I noticed that was I was looking at everyone else's interpretation of whatever they thought this documentary was, which was in theaters at the time. And so I went and I watched it, and it was people's testimonies about like near-death experiences. But what I got from it was how they were kind of talking and what they've actually been through before they even got to the near-death part, you know? And so there's this one person, me and him share the same exact testimony. He dealt with anger because growing up with his dad, him simply trying to have a voice in the household is going to result in physical or verbal punishment or abuse. Same deal. So I'm watching it and I'm really honing in on what he's saying. When it hit him, that, God is love, that we should be trying to love each other as Christ-like as possible, treat people how you want to be treated. That hit him so tremendously that he realized, because of him growing up, dealing with anger is going to take away your perception of what love actually is, especially depending on how your parent may be treating you. So that just trickles down the wire. If you're so focused and, beelining focused on just like who and how someone treated me, you're not going to focus too much on how you're treating the next person, or you might just bleed out onto them.
Yeah.
So all of that just made sense to me, because sorry to say it, I just didn't want to be anything like my dad growing up. I was like, I need to be the exact opposite. I need to understand how he's treating me is not how I should treat people. I need to continue to treat people based on what the Bible says, and that's just how I've been living my life.
Yeah.
So it made perfect sense to me if like, oh my goodness, like I'm literally focused on the wrong thing.
Yeah.
If I just turn my cheek and look at everything else that's in front of me, that's literally in front of my face, I'm like, I need to just continue to make Christ alone happy, and that's like it.
Yeah.
And so from that moment on, I had no fear, and that scared a lot of people around me. And the way that I was moving, honestly, was like not absurd, but I think my reaction.
That's when you were like posting like what 100 stories a day, like going around asking people. I remember that.
And so it hit me, dude. I was like, basically the rest of life for me is gonna be a field day.
Yeah.
Because I had no fear for any storms in my life. I've already been through so much that it was like, whatever already comes next, I already have a very optimistic mentality towards it. I understand that like whatever storm that I'm in, Christ is basically just taking a nap. Like that's just how I'm starting to see things. And I'm like, yo, like, thank you, God. I've literally been praying for this multiple times as a kid, through the crazy times I had depression, through the senior speech I had in 2018. I was like, my life literally makes sense right now, and I totally understand of like what scripture says. Like I get it all. And so that literal documentary just like unlocked that in me. Yeah. So I was like, I hope to get other people to watch this documentary so that they can, who knows what they can get from it. A lot of people took it in the wrong way. Yeah. So I was like, I just got to roll with the salt. I was still having fun. Yeah. Whatever people were saying, I was like, say it, bro. That's the worst that could happen to me, honestly. Yeah. So just everything from that moment, like I've literally just had crazy peace. So like hearing you before we even got on, you're like, yeah, I see you're so busy. You see you're doing all this stuff with the podcast. I'm like, bro, life is a field day. Life is now a field day. But for you, like I know that moment of peace hit me. I can't even talk right now, because I'm just, every time I think about it, I just get way too excited, and I'm very grateful, honestly, for everything that God has put me through. For you personally, when you may have those like slumps in the road, when you may have those moments where it's just like, I don't know, like what are like the kind of hardships you still have to go through in your world, in your route?
You saying hardships?
Like hardships, it could be something so off course that just throws a crazy wrench in your day to day.
No, yeah, I mean, gosh, honestly, I have some like mental stuff that I'm trying to like work through. I went to a lot of it stems from like my dad passing and whatnot, but like I went to therapy all of like last year, and sometimes I'll just wake up and I'll just have a day where it's like, yo, I don't want to talk to nobody. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to be productive. Like, I just want to like sit on the couch and watch TV. And like, just because like, I wish I knew like what triggered it, because then obviously if I could figure out what triggered it, I could stop it. So
to the root.
Yeah. And so sometimes I just wake up with those days and they really throw me for a loop. My schedule. It's interesting. Like, I'm a very 100% or 0% person. Which is an interesting trait to have. But, let's say like when I get back in the gym, I got to be going 5 days a week, or in my head, I don't think it's worth it. So I can't go 5 days a week and then, hit, 1 day the next week. Then I'll just stop until I can find a time when I can go 5 days a week. And so it's very weird.
Got you. No, I'm the
and
same
so,
way.
Okay. And so, and that's also the same sense of like, my workouts have an effect on my mood. And that I feel like that might have to do with a lot of the mental side of things and just like how my days go and whatnot. And I would say that is a really big wrench that is thrown in, like, still to this day in my day to day. If I'm not getting outside enough, if I'm not exercising, then I'm ultimately just sitting inside editing or watching TV, whatever it is. And I'm just like not in a good mental space. And then that can trickle down to my marriage. That can trickle down to my relationship with my business partner, my networking connections, like that. It's so crazy to think about, like, that just me working out and getting outside stems to it can trickle down to so many things. And so I would say that that's a hardship that I still go through pretty, not consistently, but that's definitely one of the more hardships I go through. But then also, like, I go through the hardship of not being in the Bible enough and not like dedicating time to getting in the Word and praying. And I don't know why it is, but my relationship with Christ has been like a roller coaster, not in the sense of like Christ, but like in believing, but just in the sense of dedication and like the time and effort I put in. And that also has effect on me mentally and in my whole life. And so just like it's one of those things where it's like, if I can't find time to sit down and read the Bible 5 times or every day, then I'm not going to do it until I can find that time to make the schedule. And so it's so annoying because I wish I could change that like wiring about myself to just be more free flowing and just pick it up when I can. It's okay if you miss a day, get back the next day, just kind of like that. And so those are definitely the 2 hardships that I have that I feel like affect a lot in what I do. So, and it sucks.
Do you take walks with your wife at all?
It's funny you say that. My wife is like a mom, but she's not a mom. She's like,
what?
Like dude, like all.
Hold on.
What I'm saying is like all the moms walking together in the neighborhood.
Oh, okay.
Like, or the hot girl walks or whatever. Like the people do like on Bayshore and all that stuff. Like my wife walks every day. She goes on a walk, 30 minutes, comes back. I could care less to go on a walk.
Walk with her, bruv. I advise to do so.
No, I would also. I just don't want to. Like whether it's I've already been in the gym, whether it's also, oh my gosh, I can't, like, bro, when it is super hot outside, I don't care to be outside. Gotcha. Like unless it's with a group of people or an activity or for work or something, I don't want to just walk or lay on the beach and sweat. I don't care to. And so, but now that the weather's cooling off, I might take her up on that and go on some walks with her. Because I think that would really help, even if maybe I didn't get to go to the gym that day. If I just spent 30 minutes outside walking with my wife, that would probably help. That's a good idea.
I only advised it because back on like the mental health thing, like me personally, if I'm inside too long, or I'm stagnant for too long, old memories will start to creep in. Really? Just in general, like I'll just hear or like think of something bad that has happened to me. You know what I'm saying? So like, all's forgiven, Dad. You could be upset, but later, but I'll always forget. But I'm good. Yeah. But my friend,
it's still there.
Yeah. My friend Rico, he knows me so well. So I've known him all through college, and he will always text me randomly and just ask, "Are you still dancing?" I'm like, how would he know that? You know, because what I do, it's a funny routine. When I wake up, I usually read, pray, put my headphones on, and that's when I just start getting into it. You know how athletes got to listen to music before the game? I do that. And usually if I listen to music, I'll go outside and walk. Walks and like, you know, working out early help me throughout the rest of the day. So what I'll start to do and what I have been doing, I wake up at 5, bro. I just wake up at 5. I wake up at 5 a.m. I'll go on my long walk, and I'll feel so much better for the rest of the day.
God bless you, brother.
I'm not saying wake up at 5, but I'm like, for us as the creatives, that walk is gonna help so much. Go on that walk.
I need to go on that walk.
Go on that walk. When you started, like, because I know from the video that it's literally pinned on the top left of your profile. That's how detailed I am. that when you were DMing a bunch of like athletes just to try to get them to like, you know, to reach back out and do like free videos for them and stuff, how did you feel when they would respond? Because I know for me in college, I did the same. I did the same with music because I was big on music production at the time. I still do it, but not mainstream anymore, faith-wise. But, you know, with sports-wise, how did you feel just like seeing a DM back from like athletes that you knew watching growing up and stuff like that?
Dude, I mean, I even get giddy about it now.
Today, yeah.
Like, because now, at the time, when I first started doing it, I had the MLB job, the NFL job, all the stuff. And so I wasn't like banking on it for like anything, really just a cool opportunity. Now it's like, yo, like this is like a monetary thing. Like I'm making a connection. I'm providing them something of value. They're paying me in return. And it's Baker Mayfield. It's Antoine Winfield, whoever. Like it's these bigger names. And like, this is what I dreamt of. But from... That's where I got the idea, was from Gary Vee in, gosh, I don't know, 2019, 2020. I listened to a podcast of his, and he was like, you need to DM the effing crap out of people, and because like the worst they can do is not respond to you or say no. And so I was like, dang, like you're right. Like I'm, you know, missing a lot of shots I'm not taking, whatever. And so when I first started getting into the industry, I was DMing these local Jacksonville athletes. Because my hometown, Amelia Island, they didn't have like anything, like any D1 prospects or anything. So I was like, I'm gonna go to Jacksonville where there's like some big time people. And so I DM'd.
They got people in Jacks.
Oh yeah, Carson. Yeah, they got people.
Okay.
Don't worry.
I haven't been down there yet.
Yeah, they got some people. They got dudes. But like, who was it? Alex Fudge. So he's a NBA G League guy for the South Bay Lakers right now. Or no, he might be with the Mavericks now. I can't remember. But anyways, he was one of the first guys who said yes. And he was in high school. He was a junior or senior. He was committed to LSU. And he was like, yeah, like I'll take a free mixtape, whatever. Like I got a tournament going on here. So I pull up him. He was playing against Debo. Forgot his name.
Sam.
No.
Oh,
not that Debo.
Okay.
Debo Coleman.
Got it.
He's a UCF basketball player right now. But no, Debo Samuel would have been wild. But so anyways, like those connections just started popping up from the DMing part of it. And yeah, so I really just like, that's one thing that I've kept consistent from the start until now is DMing. Like it obviously helps when you have a little bit of a bigger following. I'm not saying like 20K is big comparative to a lot of other people, but when you have a bigger following, above average following, and then you have really good work on your page, they'll look at it. Like if you got 100 followers and you don't have a single video on your page, they're not going to look at it. It's just the way it is. Like you have to post your work and you have to take a chance and DM them. Go in the comments and say, hey, look at your freaking DMs. I just DM'd you if you want a free video. It's just like they'll look, you know, it's not hidden. And so that's definitely one thing that I'm super glad I've kept in like my routine of just creative connections.
Do you have any other like further advice for creatives that definitely may be scared of doing that? I have a really close friend of mine that lives in Pittsburgh that will always tell me like, I want to do graphics for these type of professionals, but I just like don't know what to do. Like, how do I reach? I'm like, just DM, just send them a message. But they, you know, a little maybe fearful, just they don't know. Like, do you have any advice for those creatives who may even have imposter syndrome? Because I myself just got over that posting hump. Everyone now is like, oh, you're busy. Like, no, most of this stuff is stashed and recycled. You know, like.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like, I had a phrase that came to mind, but I'm not gonna say it. Advice on getting into it is really just, I guess, if you're that scared to reach out to the pros, then you got to start somewhere. Reach out to college people, reach out to high school, you know, committed athletes who are committed to D1 schools, whatever. If they're biting on it, like if they are responding well and stuff, then you have something. Then you have something that you can take to the next level. if these college guys are biting on it, if they are saying like, yeah, your content looks great, I would love to do a free video or a paid video, whatever it is. If these college guys are biting on it, you have something. So take it to the next level. If you have case studies, quote unquote case studies, of the level you're at now, like using your work and biting on it, you have no reason that you shouldn't be able to translate that to the next level. There might be some tweaking and stuff, and like maybe the professional athletes want to see something a little different, or maybe just more work on your page. But if it's working for the college guys, then it's going to work for the pro guys. If it's working for the high school guys, then it's going to work for the college guys. Like you're going to be fine, but you just have to do it. Like you can't start video. Okay, I will say this. It's a very small percentage of people who can just start videography and photography 1 week. The next week they're DMing pros and getting responses. It's very hard to do that. So I would take the time and build up some confidence and work the whole route. Work the high school kids, work the college kids, work the pros. There's no reason that you shouldn't get an answer from a pro. And then if you start getting no's and answers from the pros, then if they're already talking with you and telling you no, then just ask, hey, what made you not go with me? Was it the work? Was it because you don't want any video stuff? Like, what is it so I can better myself? Simple. And a lot of people try to make it way more complicated than it is, and it's not. Like, dude, it's insane to me. When I got the MLB job, when I got the NFL job, when I got the NHL job, all three of those, I had all three of those in one season. So I was working for all those leagues. I'm not the best videographer. I'm just I felt like I was the only one making those connections and reaching out and talking to these people. Okay. And then that's just kind of how I got, I'm not even lying to you. I would say all three of those jobs, probably 70% because of the networking and 30% because of my skill set. There's a 15-year-old in backwoods Florida right now who is 1,000 times better than me, but they don't.
Doesn't reach
obviously
out.
They're 15, but it's just an analogy. Like, I'm just saying, there's somebody who's 10 times better than me, 1,000 times better than me at videoing, editing, the whole nine, but they don't take chances. They don't network. They don't connect with people. Maybe their ego's too big. They burn bridges. They don't network and set themselves up for success. That's just plain simple. I think you can get literally any opportunity you want or close to it if you network the right way.
Yeah, I'm over here giggling just because I'm thinking about when I first started graphic design, and I hope that I don't have it because I don't want to see it again. But I have basically a family friend that I went to high school with, RJ Barrett. So I went to Montford Academy.
Yeah.
Right?
You went there?
Yeah, I went to I played soccer there.
Dang,
yeah,
dude,
man.
okay.
I played soccer at Montford Academy. I was
what year did you graduate?
2018.
Okay, me too.
For real? Okay,
yeah.
We're the same age.
Yeah.
No freaking way. Like, so I grew up, with a lot of athletes at the school, but knowing him already, I'm starting to do graphics, and it's like right after I graduate, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna keep the connections of like all these people that I know. So I'm like, I text him like, yo, check out this graphic I made. Red, I ain't never heard from him again. We're family friends, and I haven't heard from him again, but I just remember looking back at the graphic, a couple years ago. I'm like, yo, I couldn't believe I sent that to him. It was absolutely atrocious. Yeah. It was disgusting. And like, it made sense to me why he didn't say anything. Because he's not going to use it. Like, it was trash. To be honest, I was starting out graphics. So like, I already understand the, kind of be careful sometimes. You definitely need critiques too before you send your work out. Because that could also
burn the bridge.
100%.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if a lot of these guys are just dry firing like their first videos ever to these pros, those pros are done with you. They could care less. Like, they just want good work. They don't care about the person you are, all the stuff. If at the end of the day, like, if you don't produce good work, they're probably not going to work with you. And so that's why I was kind of explaining, like, you need to get your reps out on these high school kids. If you're starting out, you need to get these reps on the high school kids, get better. Then once these college kids start biting, then you've gotten somewhat better. And then also just following along with creators on social media. And a lot of people kind of debate about this of like, comparing your work to other people. But it's like, if you're not comparing, then you're probably staying at the same level. Like, it's just how it is. Like, yeah, there's a fine line to where, like, the imposter syndrome and, like, oh my gosh, that person's so much better than me and whatever. But it's like, if you look at it from a healthier standpoint, and like, yes, this person is a videographer for NFL films. Of course they are better than me. So I'm going to try to emulate as much as what they do on the field, and I'm going to try to do it myself. That is a healthy way of looking at it. It's not healthy to just look at some Smojo and be like, oh my gosh, I suck. They're great. Boo-hoo. What is that going to do? So it's just like, there's healthy ways to go about critiquing your own work and comparing it to somebody else's. And so I think that's also a really helpful tool that's free. So just like, you have social media, use it for good.
Use it.
Don't doom scroll on it all day. And so, yeah, that, and then obviously working the high school, college chain. I think that would get a lot of creatives somewhere.
Yeah, that's why you saw me posting so many videos back then. It hit me. I was like, it's literally a business tool. Like, we're using it wrong.
That's what I'm saying.
Kind of in a sense.
Yeah.
Like, it's a business tool. We could literally use it for so much good at our fingertips. And we, do, besides the point. But that hit me then, and everything took off since. But I know for movies, me personally, because I'm a movie person, I literally consider myself a director all the time. Yeah. At first, I wouldn't even say it, because I was like, I haven't done any movies, haven't done any shorts.
Yeah, it's a big term.
Huge term. And so when I was a kid, I didn't know that I would pay that close attention to those details of just like, I would notice, and you can laugh if you want, just like the creaminess behind the edges of
I'm a child, dude. I'm sorry.
But later on, understanding that's just like the f-stop, Yeah. How sharp the focus is on certain scenes. And I'm like, okay, the next cutout is like an establishing shot of what's going on, and everything looks so clear. Like the f-stop for me is like higher, and just kind of like learning that as a kid. So I would watch movies back multiple times. Like I told you, outside Creed, back at Claremont, when Creed 2 came out, no one was in the theater. So I'm just sitting there. I'm like, shit, I'm watching this again. Now I'm about to focus on it from a different perspective. I'm not going to watch it for entertainment. I'm going to watch it from like a editing standpoint. Next, colorist standpoint. I can't color for the life of me.
Me neither.
But for video purposes, it's just like videography purposes. What creatives or other videographers do you also watch?
Oh, man. That's a really good question. I might have to pull up my phone. I would say the ones who really got me into it at the start of my sports journey, Pete Gottschalk, Matt Faraci, Matt Fosnot. Those three guys were with the MLB at the time, and they just, showed me that sports videography was possible in the first place. And I tried to emulate my work to be like those guys. And then I finally got to a place where I felt like my work was good enough to not like compete with them, but just like be in the same room as them. And then I would say that his name's Tanner. Gosh, what's his last name? I'm blanking. I always remember people by their Instagram handles.
Same. That's why I call you Blumberg.
Yeah, exactly. And so Tanner something. My gosh, that's going to haunt me. Anyways, he is on basically a camera operator for the show, whatever Deion Sanders' show is, like
Coach Prime.
So he is one of the main guys for that show.
That's awesome.
He's basically like an NFL Films guy, but for that TV show. His work is absolutely insane.
That's awesome. Please send me his Instagram.
Yes, I love watching him. Love watching his work, and just also who else? This one guy named Matthew. I recently connected with him. He's from Australia.
Oh shoot!
He is in the like surfer ocean world. He has the most beautiful colors like that I've ever seen. And so just watching his work from a non-sports perspective really helps me like just appreciate the beauty of what he does, and it almost lets me like chill out from all the hype action I'm trying to do and like kind of slow stuff down a little bit. And then who else? 49ers senior video producer.
I know who you're gonna say.
Serena. Yeah.
I don't know her, but I watch a lot of her stuff.
Yeah, she crushes. I was so upset because she was just here for the Bucks game a couple weeks ago, and that was literally the first home game I've ever missed. And so I was very bummed I didn't get to meet her. We've been connected on social media for a while. But yeah, I'm sure there's a handful that I'm forgetting, but those are the ones that are at the top of mind currently. Man, I'm trying to think of like Florida people. Oh my gosh. Grant, his name's like Jushuski or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. His work is insane. Okay, now the people are starting to flow.
Yeah, it's starting to flow.
Kobe Grandstaff, his work is insane. Christina Manfredi, I don't know if that's how you pronounce her last name. She is full-time freelance now, and we've hired her at a couple occasions, but she used to do really good work for UCF.
Okay.
And then, yeah, there's the UCF creative team is insane. There's a lot of people I could shout out right now. But yeah, that's who's at the top of mind right now. So.
Okay. Set the record straight. Do you like Premiere more?
Yeah.
Or DaVinci?
So I hate Premiere, but I'm a Premiere user.
Okay.
So one day I hope to switch to DaVinci. The only reason I want to switch to DaVinci is because the colors, and it's because every time I export a video out of Premiere, it's desaturated or whatever happens to it. Even when I use the LUT, people have already sent me the fixed LUT or whatever that you put on the end of the video. I do that every time. It's like half and half, depends. So I'm tired of Premiere. It's just I don't want to have to learn my workflow on DaVinci. But now, like I was telling you, this December and January looks a little slower. So maybe this is the time where I just crank out 2 weeks and just like go to school, just like see if I can figure it out. But yeah, I mean, also like DaVinci users, their color just like, I guess there's just more that you can do maybe in DaVinci with color. And so it just makes me jealous because I'm like, I know my footage could look so much better if I could learn DaVinci. So that might have to happen.
What's insane for me too, like Premiere is honestly a better editing on the timeline sense. A lot
really?
better.
Yeah, I've never understood the nodes and all that stuff.
On like DaVinci?
Yeah.
Okay. See that? Again, that's like a whole nother component. Each other tab that you click could be a whole specific job, basically.
Jeez.
So like all that node stuff, that goes with like coloring, being like a colorist. People understand that. You got to select one node, add, and it's like an alpha, like a different world. I don't need to know that stuff.
Yeah.
You can still color footage by itself without using the nodes.
I'm just going to drop a LUT. I'm just going to drop a LUT.
LUT, done.
Yeah.
So I color, but I don't use the nodes. You can do that. That's what people probably see.
Really?
See that now.
That's what makes me intimidated. Because I thought I had to use the nodes.
You don't.
Oh, bump that. Yeah, I'm switching now.
See? So like their timeline itself on Premiere is a lot better. DaVinci was a little different to get used to, but now I'm on it. Oh, perfect.
Easy.
It's basically the same thing. The difference, obviously, DaVinci, the colors are so much, like they pop so much more rich, full.
Yeah.
Premiere with the exporting settings, same problem. I ran into the same thing. I would have so many export problems, but effects-wise, After Effects and Premiere got it.
Got it. Really?
So that's something that I kind of...
So you use both still?
When I have to.
Yeah.
I use a lot of After Effects when it comes down to documentary time,
Yeah.
Because I got to do the title, the credits, the name cards, like all that stuff, just to make it look, I don't know, nice and neat.
Professional.
After Effects.
Really?
DaVinci is all color. So I put the timeline in DaVinci, color everything. It literally take off all the, PNGs, overlays, transitions, After Effects, put it right back into DaVinci.
Really? Okay.
So you don't have to do that note stuff. Try it out when you get home.
Sounds good. Stuff's intimidating.
It's so much easier than you think, and I think that's why
I've worked it up to be this like crazy thing to do.
No,
apparently it's not.
Okay, not even close. So that's how I got into that, because I don't even remember. I think it was just I had so many Premiere problems. I was like, let me try this. Like I keep seeing it and hearing it, and also one of my friends that's really good filmmaker. He's from France, but he went to school with me. His name's Jean-Baptiste. And so I remember seeing his short film in one of the Black Box Film Festivals at UT. Probably the best filmmaker that has come out of UT so far. But he's also from France. So I don't know if that's an advantage. but his colors, like his coloring,
Insane.
so good. Like you could
John
Baptiste. I'm gonna send you his stuff.
I feel like
You might have. He worked with Marr Media. Mark's with Marr Media.
Oh, he still works with them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do know him.
Okay, yeah.
I've never met him.
JB.
I've never met him, but one of my photographer friends who works at Modern Media uses him a lot.
Yeah, he is goated. He like after I saw his stuff, I was like, okay, I need to figure out what he does. Da Vinci. It was Final Cut and Da Vinci, but he is a genius and a wizard at all that stuff. That's how I kind of got into knowing like the technical side. He always told me like you just have to set up the shot and care about the shot first. The story tells itself. And so now understanding that if you have a story and you can do masterpiece. Masterpiece. But yeah, so Da Vinci, don't be intimidated. It's literally the same thing. Back on food.
I'm about to grub after this.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So I have the person that I podcasted last was Ronald Awatt. He used to be a running back for the 49ers. Looking for a team. Hopefully he gets another team soon. But
so he's still active.
Still out. Yeah,
okay.
Still active.
Big boy.
Yeah, bro.
Okay.
Him and let me tell you, getting into like this, I didn't watch football that much at all. And so now being literally inside of it, technically, I get to watch the college guys comes in. I hear and learn about their stories, obviously document the entire thing. Operation 53, season 3 coming in January. But doing all of that, then I get to watch the combine. Oh my goodness.
No, they're just units, bro.
Do you go up there?
No, so I went 2022 combine. Okay. I was there for like Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
All those guys. It was kind of insane. Bryce Young.
How was it? Like, did you record anything or you sat and watched?
No, I recorded. So I didn't have access to record because I was there shooting for Noble. And so I was awesome. I was in the practice facility. I wasn't in the big facility, the Colt Stadium.
Yeah.
And so I was filming the workouts and like the stretching and the pre-routines and everything. And so just seeing all those players was insane. Darnell Washington was probably the biggest human being I've ever been next to. And University of Georgia fan, so go Dogs. Stahl Stetson, he was a lot shorter in person than I thought. Bryce was a whole lot shorter than I thought in person. But seeing those guys and like
Bryce Young,
yeah, like dude, they're different. It's wild,
bro. So like meeting them and obviously standing next to them. I'm a pretty big dude, you know what I'm saying? I'm a triple B, borderline big back. But standing next to them, they're like freaks of nature, dog.
Oh yeah,
Kalen LeBourne is probably the most muscular, built like a bicep football running back I've ever seen. And he's like probably the most fun person that I've ever met through the entire thing. But like that entire process, recording it and then showing them around Tampa. So each time they come, they're like, you know, what is out here get? So now that's my job.
Yeah, I
got to figure out me and Cliff. I got to figure out like, okay, what are the spots they like? What kind of food do you like? Fabian Levette was from FSU, D lineman. He loved Taco Dirty. Do you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Just making sure.
Oh, yeah.
Making sure. But I'm trying to think of like all the other spots. Hyde Park, Armature Works, Sparkman.
We stay in St. Pete.
Oh, you're out there. Ooh.
St. Pete's got a lot of food though.
Really?
Oh yeah.
What kind of? If you could name like the top 5 St. Pete
restaurants. Okay, I'll go.
I'll give you Tampa.
I'll go Pia's.
Pia's.
I'm not gonna give them an order. I can't give them an order.
You go.
Pia's is definitely top 5. It's a traditional Italian restaurant. They do everything like homemade there, like straight from Italy. It's insane. Gosh, what else? Green Pagoda. It's a Thai place. What other spots we got? J. Luigi, another Italian spot. 11 Chicks.
Never heard
Brother. Of it. It is a Venezuelan spot.
Whoa.
And they serve arepas and empanadas. And it is game changing. It's insane. It's
right
ridiculous.
Up my alley. Tacos?
No.
Barely? Okay.
No. They're like
straight Venezuelan.
Yeah.
Real Venezuelan.
Yeah. Like grandma's cooking.
Oh.
Like, bro, great.
Okay.
And then I would say Hawkers. Hawkers is a chain, like kind of a chain. There's one in Jacksonville and a couple other spots, but like very good Asian spot. And then Noble Crust.
Noble Crust. I think I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Noble Crust.
Super good. Bro, dude, there's like so many restaurants in St. Pete. It's stupid. But those are probably like my go-tos, my favorite. Chipotle, for sure. That's my like freaking, I'll eat it 5 times a week, dude. It's insane.
I've got tired of Chipotle. I'm not coming for Chipotle. I'll eat Chipotle still. I just had it so much like playing soccer growing up.
Yeah.
So much.
No, dude. Chipotle is there's one right down. Forgot about Kava. You ever had Kava?
Yeah, it was right next to my crib.
Okay, so we have Kava. Dude, Kava and Chipotle are dangerous. I'll just go there like so much, bro.
Okay.
I'll give you some of my spots.
So wait, they're not all chains, are they? Or
what? The ones that I gave you?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
There's some locals.
Dang. So I got
11 Chicks is local.
Okay.
J. Luigi is local. Couple spots, but
I'm gonna definitely butcher some names. I'm trying to think of actual local spots, not just the places that I like.
I'm trying to think of spots that I've been in Tampa too.
Bar Taco's pretty far.
Yes.
Bar Taco's
been there.
Have
you been to gosh, what's that place? It's in Midtown. Olivia's?
I haven't yet.
Maybe.
That's the Italian spot?
I think it's called Olivia's. Yes.
I haven't been yet.
Really good.
See, all the places that I'm thinking of, I can't tell if they're chains. I just know.
No, yeah, they're good.
Of course, Taco Dirty is the OG.
Yep.
That's a chain though. They got a couple different spots. I just had Streetlight Taco the other day.
What?
Streetlight Taco. Fuego.
Okay. You ever been to Green Lemon?
Yes, I have. It's right next to my crib.
Yeah.
I go there all the time.
Oh, another place I love in Tampa. Water and Flower.
Water next to my crib.
Bro.
I'm there.
You're there.
I live
okay.
over.
Okay.
That's my spot.
Bro, those are, I always get like the hot honey pizza.
That's me too.
I'm a sucker for pizza, bro.
Oh, you're a pizza person.
Oh my gosh. Am I?
So you're basically going to the pizza
and wings.
Spot. You need to meet Cliff.
Bro, wings are, I'm a connoisseur. I love wings.
Okay. I got to think of, I can't
But
name
only
the name.
spicy. I don't
Only
do
spicy?
like, I don't do garlic parmesan.
Okay.
I don't do like ranch. I don't do none of that. It has to be burning.
There's these hot honey wings that I cannot remember the place right.
Okay.
I love hot honey wings. If there's any wing places out there, please invite us. Like
Yeah, we got to do a hot ones or something. That'd be hilarious.
I would love to. And so I can't think of the spot though.
Yeah,
but Cliff knows. I'll get the name. But it's another spot that I honestly won't say right now. But I still get. I'll say it. I order wings from I think it's Wing House. I just get the takeout.
Oh, whiskey wings or Wing House?
Wing House.
Wing House. That's fine.
I don't go in there anymore.
Yeah.
I used to, but not anymore.
Yeah.
But those wings are fine.
Wait, what is it like? Hooters vibes?
Yep.
Okay. I was like, what's wrong with Wing House?
See,
I've never been.
See, that was the same thing. So I went the first time, and I literally had a hat on with a cross. I'm like,
oh yeah,
I
probably
can't
stuck
be
out
in
like
here.
a
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
I was like, I can't be in here. Like,
yeah,
no. But I ate the wings. And I was like,
they're pretty gas.
I was like, I can order them.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we can get them to go.
So we can get wings. I just got one more question. I know we've been here for a little minute.
No, you're good.
But again, just on the advice for like just creatives in general, obviously people of faith, anyone that is in or wants to get in, especially MLB. I know a lot of more MLB people out here. MLB, NFL, we'll even go MLS. They're just professional sports, collegiate sports. What should they be doing now to continue to prepare for potential opportunities
to get that shot? I'm gonna give like some universal pointers because college and pros are two different worlds, and I think it's harder to get in college than it is to pros.
Wow. Okay.
I've shot one college game
ever,
and it was I had to know somebody to know somebody to know somebody to get in. So the pros are just really universal for anything. Networking is my number one takeaway. My number one thing on my to-do list. Number one everything. Network with people who are already sitting where you're at or where you want to be. And that's DMing, emailing, however you need to do your outreach. And when I say networking with people who are in the spot where you want to be, I'm not saying like ask them for a job. I'm not saying, you know, how can I get work, all this stuff. It's like you just need to work on building a genuine relationship with that person. You know, ask for advice, ask for, you know, hey, would you mind taking a look at my reel? And, you know, what would you do differently? You know, building a relationship like that, checking in on them. Hey, hope the holidays were great. Literally, just checking in.
How's the weather today?
Not
No,
maybe
man,
not like
I'm
that.
kidding.
Maybe not like that. But just like following up every, you know, once a month. Just like, hey, or maybe slide up on their story. Like, dude, sick video.
Yeah.
Just keep the relationship, you know, surface level, whatever. But you need to have a Rolodex of people that you built this relationship with, because once you get good enough, obviously because you're going to be practicing your craft on the side, once you get good enough, you're going to be somebody that comes to the top of their mind. And then they're going to start offering you opportunities and just kind of like setting you up to be in the room with them instead of on the outside looking in. And so networking is huge. I would say that that's one of a few reasons why I got into where I'm at. But networking for everybody who's trying to get into the sports space, college or pro. And then, I mean, reps, obviously. If you're making one video every 2 weeks, or if you're doing a photo shoot once a week, or you're picking up your camera once a week, it's going to take you a lot longer to get better than somebody who's picking up the camera every day. So it's just like working out. Like what I'm trying to say is like, I get upset at myself if I'm not working out 5 days a week or whatever. And then I'll go, you know, I'll work out once a week or whatever. But it's like, it's better. Somebody's going to grow faster than you if they're working out or picking up their camera 3 to 5 times a week. If you're picking up your camera once a week, it's like, duh, they're going to grow faster. So you can grow as fast as you want, and you can also grow as slow as you want. So you need to pick up the pace. And if you really want to get to where you say you want to get to, then there should be no issue with you picking up the camera every day. So that's what I would give. Those are the two biggest things, networking and picking up the freaking camera. There's a lot of like people behind the phone trying to get opportunities, and it's like you might be good at networking and meeting these people, but maybe you can't fulfill it. Maybe you're not good enough to take the opportunity that you verbally got.
Yeah.
But like, what's the point if you're not good? So obviously good being subjective, but like you need to be pretty confident in your craft to be able to take these jobs that you're networking for. So those two go hand in hand, but that's what I would give.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, Nathan.
Appreciate you, bro.
Let me put the glasses back on for the outro.
The outro.
Yeah. Gonna get some pizza across the street.